Welcome to this explainer. We're jumping right into the hidden everyday battles your home's heating and cooling system is fighting. If you live in Middle Tennessee, you already know our weather literally takes no prisoners. Your comfort system? Well, it's bearing the absolute brunt of it. Today, we're unpacking exactly how this wild climate breaks down your equipment and how the pros over at Alpha HVAC Nashville actually tackle these unique regional headaches.
Let's do a quick rundown of our agenda for today. We'll start with the Tennessee Climate Challenge, dive into the anatomy of a breakdown, and then walk through the rapid repair process. After that, we'll hit the science of installation, and finally, wrap up with how you can proactively protect your investment for the long haul.
All right, Section 1, the Tennessee Climate Challenge, your HVAC's biggest enemy. So Goodlettsville technically sits in a humid subtropical zone. Honestly, that's just a fancy scientific way of saying we can experience all 4 seasons before Tuesday. We've got our summers, we're talking temperatures easily hitting 90 degrees, paired with this crushing humidity that basically forces your AC to cool the air and wring out a ton of moisture at the exact same time. It's exhausting for the machine. Then flip to the winter and we get these unpredictable, freezing nights that push furnaces and heat pumps to their absolute limits. This intense yo-yo cycle means your system is working significantly harder than units sitting in milder parts of the country, which literally shortens their lifespan.
But hey, it's not just the air you have to worry about. The ground itself is kind of attacking your home's efficiency. Think about neighborhoods across Sumner County, like Mosswright Park or Highland Heights. The dirt there has a super high clay content, so when the moisture levels shift from massive rain or dry spells, that clay moves. It swells and shrinks. That slight shifting in your foundation creates immense structural stress on your ductwork. It can literally pull the connections right apart, right under your feet or up in your attic. Crazy, right?
And when those ducts tear open, you are leaking a massive amount of your beautifully conditioned air straight into your attic or crawl space. We are talking about losing 20 to 40% of your cooling or heating capacity. No wonder the rooms farthest from your air handler feel stuffy. You are literally paying top dollar to air condition the great outdoors, and that is exactly what sends those utility bills absolutely skyrocketing.
Moving right along to Section 2, Anatomy of a Breakdown, How the Elements Destroy Equipment.
Dealing with these breakdowns is honestly the worst, but the regional factors we just talked about, combined with just normal wear and tear, create these highly predictable failure patterns for Goodlettsville homeowners. We see the same things over and over: frozen coils in July, cracked igniters in January, blown out door capacitors, and leaky ducts. But you know what? Understanding these specific local failures is absolutely crucial because it helps you catch them early, way before they snowball into a total emergency.
Okay, picture this. It's the middle of a massive summer heat wave, and your AC just completely freezes over. It actually happens as a chain reaction. A lot of times, it starts with something so simple, like a severely clogged, dirty air filter that's choking the airflow. Once that air stops moving across the evaporator coil, the internal refrigerant temperature plummets way below freezing. Ice starts to form, which then completely blocks whatever tiny bit of air was left. Next thing you know, your coil is just a solid block of ice and your home is getting zero cooling. It's like a giant, very unhelpful ice cube in your system. Now flip to winter, the equivalent breakdown is just as infuriating. Modern gas furnaces rely on these hot surface igniters. They're usually ceramic and they glow bright orange hot to light the gas burners. Well, during a freezing Tennessee night, your furnace is turning on and off relentlessly to fight those wild temperature swings. That constant thermal cycling, heating up, cooling down, heating up, puts immense stress on that little ceramic piece. Eventually it cracks, and when it cracks, it can't get hot enough to ignite the gas. Bam! You are left with absolutely zero heat on the coldest, most miserable night of the year.
And we can't forget the extreme summer heat doing its own direct damage outside. That blazing sun literally cooks the electrical capacitors sitting inside your outdoor unit. Think of these capacitors like powerful little batteries. They store the electrical charge needed to basically jumpstart your compressor and fan motors. Our climate really accelerates how fast they age out. When one finally gives up the ghost, your outdoor unit just stops dead. You might even hear this pathetic, distinct humming sound as the motor tries and totally fails to start without that electrical kick.
Let's jump into Section 3, the rapid repair process, Alpha HVAC's diagnostic rigor.
So when disaster strikes, Alpha HVAC has a really straightforward 3-step rapid response process. First up, you call for a rapid dispatch. They aren't going to put you on a list for next week. They dispatch part stock trucks within hours. Second is accurate diagnosis and approval. Basically, nobody touches anything until you know exactly what the problem is and exactly what it'll cost.
And step 3, quality repair and testing, making sure the system is thoroughly tested so it's actually fixed right the very first time.
If you've ever dealt with traditional time and materials billing, you know how incredibly anxiety-inducing it is. The technician is working, the clock is ticking, and those hourly rates are just climbing, right? Well, Alpha flips that script with flat rate pricing. You get to approve a single, flat cost completely upfront, straight from a standard pricing book that bundles the parts and the labor together. No surprise trip fees getting tacked on at the end, and zero shock when you see the final bill.
Precision really is the name of the game here. They use technicians with NATE certification. That stands for North American Technician Excellence. Instead of just kind of eyeballing it and blindly swapping out expensive parts until something finally works, these certified pros use digital manifold gauges and amp meters. They systematically hunt down the actual root cause of the breakdown. That rigorous approach is exactly what prevents you from shelling out cash for parts that weren't even broken to begin with.
All right, Section 4, the science of installation, doing it right the first time.
Here's something absolutely crucial. You cannot just guess what size system your home needs based on whatever old unit happens to be sitting out back. A proper science-based installation has to start with what's called a manual J load analysis. Now, this isn't some optional friendly suggestion. It is a strict engineering calculation, and it's actually a legal code requirement here in Tennessee. It takes into account your exact square footage, how good your insulation is, and even which way your windows are facing, all to figure out the exact heating and cooling loads your specific home requires.
So, your final installation costs and really how comfortable you end up being are driven by 3 main variables. First up is efficiency. Local codes say you have to hit a minimum of a 16 SEER rating. Now that costs a bit more upfront, but it definitely lowers your utility bills in the long run. Second is system size. While every single house is unique, your average Goodlettsville ranch usually needs somewhere between a 2.5 to 3.5 ton system. And finally, ductwork. If you've got older, undersized ducts, adapting them for a modern system will add to the initial cost, but it is an absolutely vital step to make sure your shiny new high-efficiency system gets the proper airflow it desperately needs.
Let me tell you, if a contractor completely skips the science of those load calculations, the results are pretty miserable. If they throw in an oversized unit, it's going to short cycle. That means it blasts cold air too fast, reaches the target temperature, and shuts off way before it can actually pull any of the humidity out of the air. You end up with a house that feels cold, but super clammy and sticky. On the flip side, an undersized unit, it will literally run 24/7. It's just going to constantly struggle and completely fail to cool your house down during our extreme summer weather.
Let's head into our final section, Section 5, protecting your investment, your year-round survival guide. So this timeline really lays out the harsh reality of an HVAC's life cycle in a super humid climate like ours. Because that high humidity ramps up dust and mold spores, you really need to be swapping out your air filter every 30 to 60 days. Annually, you've got to get a professional tune-up. By the time your system hits year 12, well, you should really start budgeting and planning for a replacement, especially if you have a heat pump that works all year round. And listen, once you hit that 15 to 20 year mark, your system is completely at the end of its expected life. A major, catastrophic breakdown at that point isn't just a possibility, it's pretty much imminent.
But here's the thing, preventative maintenance gives you an incredible amount of leverage. Getting a simple spring AC checkup isn't just about hosing down the outside unit, it is a full diagnostic mission. Catching a weak, dying capacitor a few weeks before it totally fries itself will literally save you from a miserable, sweaty emergency breakdown that ends up ruining your entire 4th of July barbecue.
And of course, winter demands just as much vigilance from us. Right before those freezing nights hit, you've got to take some specific preventative steps. Having a pro inspect the heat exchangers for any tiny cracks is absolutely paramount, because even a hairline crack can trigger a highly dangerous, totally silent carbon monoxide leak right into your house. Getting the burners cleaned, checking the weather stripping around your windows, and sealing up any air leaks in the attic, all of this ensures your furnace is actually keeping your family safe and warm instead of just wasting your money.
Let's talk about humidity one more time, because in our climate, managing it is a make or break situation. If the indoor humidity inside your house creeps up above 60%, it actively starts promoting dangerous mold growth. Plus, it just makes your home feel way hotter than the thermostat says it is. Adding a dedicated whole-home dehumidifier directly into your duct system can keep everything at a perfect 40 to 50% humidity. This is a total game changer. It dramatically improves how comfortable you feel, it means you don't have to run the AC nearly as much, and it actually physically protects your expensive hardwood floors and furniture from warping.
So, as we wrap things up, take a good hard look at your utility bills and how your system is performing, and just ask yourself this. Are you literally paying to heat your crawl space right now because shifting clay has pulled all your ductwork apart?
Or is it finally time to get a proper diagnosis, seal up those leaks, and really maintain your system? Definitely something to think about. Thank you so much for hanging out and joining this explainer.